question for you. I mean, when you do see fear in the marketplace from buyers and sellers, don't you really? I mean, sellers are fearful they're not going to get as much money as they may in 6 months. Buyers are afraid they're not going to get the house. It's kind of a charade out there.
It's a very stressful market right now, Ben. We've got, on both sides of the equation, sellers right now are trying to figure out when the right time is, especially if they don't have to sell right now but have a need coming up in the future. And buyers are fighting the multiple offer game right now, and it's been really difficult for both.
Sure. So then when you have people out there and wondering what they should do, especially sellers, because a lot of buyers are kind of now going, I should buy. There's not a lot of buyers out there who think they should wait. That's why there's so many multiple offers. When you look at sellers, though, what are some people wondering about as far as, is this the right time for them to sell?
Well, I think sellers want to time it, and especially if they're, let's say, sellers that have investment properties and they're getting to retirement age, they want to know that perhaps they're reaching kind of the peak of the market. So those people have questions about what's going to happen in the next year or two. If you've got somebody that's thinking about making a move for a transfer or whatever, they may have a shorter horizon, so they're more concerned about maybe the next several months.
Mm-hmm. And so really this time frame becomes a key indicator of, I guess, what they need to accomplish in their own life.
Absolutely. I mean, I think when I'm talking with a seller, I'm going to, counsel them, ask questions, try to find out what their needs are, and based on that, try to advise, when the best time might be for them.
And so when you're talking to somebody who maybe has no time horizon, they're just ready to maybe downsize, and how do you breach that conversation with somebody who's maybe got a nicer home and is looking for maybe a condo that's much less expensive? It'd be hard to, I suppose, believe that it would be a good time to sell simply because, well, next year it might be worth more.
Well, some of those people I will advise perhaps to hold off because I think this market has some time left in it. We've taken a really big drop here over the last 4 or 5 years, and I think we're just coming back. So some of those people I might say, let's talk in 6 months. Let's see what the market looks like and maybe revisit it at that time.
Mm-hmm. And is that kind of a good horizon, that 6-month period?
Yeah, I would say it's dangerous to look too much beyond that because there's so many things that can happen that are outside, the market forces right now. And I think it gets dangerous to try to predict too much beyond that.
Yeah, I guess just the outside influences that actually drive the market.
Well, there's a lot of things that can happen. A terrorist attack,
Mm-hmm.
Things around the world that we can't anticipate. And, those things can definitely affect our market. A good example would have been, the Gulf War back in the early 90s.
Mm-hmm. So do you tend to think that sellers get an accurate depiction of what's going on? I mean, I guess by now everybody knows market's moving up. If you're a seller, you read the paper, you see house prices are going up everywhere. Are sellers pretty in tune with that based on the information they're getting from not necessarily you, but other outside sources?
I would say it's about 50-50, Ben. I mean, I'm talking to a lot of sellers that have no idea what's going on. Their minds are still back in the recession, and those people do need some counseling to find out what's happening today. I've got other sellers that are very in tune. However, some listen too much to the national news and are not really in tune with what's happening here locally.
But even the national news is starting to present raising house prices going up.
True enough, but markets are different, and you've let's say a good example would be Las Vegas. You look at that market, and they're coming back maybe 50%.
Such a gamble to buy down there, isn't it?
It's a gamble to buy down there. Or Phoenix, for a good example. You've seen prices come back there 60, 70, 80%. Well, people hear a national story like that and think that's happening in Seattle. Not true.
So, yeah, to go punny again, I guess Phoenix is a pretty hot market.
There you go, man. Very good, man.
Sorry, I don't know where that came from.
I missed that one.
Yeah. Jim Pettigrew joins us, broker with RE/MAX. So tell me, have property values really risen here over the past year?
Without a doubt, Ben. We've seen prices in Seattle up about 17%. East Side's been about maybe 22%. And probably the freakiest market out there would be North King County, let's say Shoreline, Kenmore condo prices, up 121%.
What?
Yeah.
Over the past year?
Over the past year.
How is that possible?
Well, there's probably a couple of things. I don't think it's all about just price increases, but in those markets we had a lot of distressed properties, and those have gone away. So we're really kind of more into a normal retail market.
Wow. That's a big change.
Big change.
So are there certain, I mean, you talk about that North Seattle pocket. Are there other pockets that people should be aware of? And are people maybe aware of these different pockets that have changed more than others?
I don't think they are. You're really not going to find that out unless you're really in tune with the particular market and you're actually looking at the inventory. So I'd say that people, if they want to find out more about what's happening in the local real estate markets, they need to immerse themselves. Take a look at those markets, look at prices.
How localized do you see markets get when you're a seller? Because we've heard things, as simple as like across the street could be a different school district. Or, there could be a very hyper specialized or a very tight-knit area that can be different than another tight-knit area that can be very close to each other.
No doubt about it, Ben. There's areas in Seattle where you have certain schools, elementary schools, that are highly sought after, and you can go across the street and prices can be dramatically higher or houses more sought after because they're in a particular school district. So that makes a big difference.
Yeah. So what are some of the hottest areas to be a seller right now?
Well, I would say right now you're inner city Seattle, let's say south of Northgate, down into Queen Anne, Capitol Hill, and then on the east side, definitely Bellevue, Kirkland, even down into Renton, out into Issaquah. We're really seeing a lot of multiple offers and extreme interest in those markets.
Do you tend to see more houses coming on the market anytime soon in the hotter areas to maybe, I guess that would cool it off?
I'm not seeing it yet, Ben. People I think are still holding back a little bit. And, when I do market analysis in different areas, I'm seeing very, very few new listings coming out. Most of the stuff is pending or sold.
Yeah, well, I that's kind of gets back to my original point. If you're trying to sell a house and you're trying to maximize the value and you see prices going up in all these areas, it's tough to jump on the sell boat if you don't need to.
Absolutely. I mean, I think people are looking at what's happened in the past. They've seen their values drop, and now they're seeing an opportunity to get that all back. I think people want to wait it out, especially if they don't have an immediate need. If they're not being transferred or, they don't have something that's happened in their life that forces a move. They want to be able to get that back.